ለመማር ወደ ትምህርት ተቋም መሄድ ግድ አይደለም። ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ
ራሳችሁን ከኮሮና ቫይረስ ወረርሽኝ እየጠበቃችሁ በቤታችሁ ወይም በተመቻችሁ ቦታ በኢንተርኔት አማካኝነት በኦንላይን ትምህርታችሁን መከታተል ትችላላችሁ።
ካናዳ ከሚገኘው ኢንተርናሽናል ኤር ትራንስፖርት አሶሲዬሽን አያታና ከእንግሊዙ ኢንስቲትዩት ኦፍ ኮመርሻል ማኔጅመንት ICM ጋር በመተባበር የሚሰጡ ትምህርቶችን ተከታትላችሁ በ6 ወር ጊዜ በዓለም አቀፍ ደረጃ ተቀባይነት ያለውን የስልጠና ማስረጃ ባለቤት መሆን ይቻላል።
ልምድ ባላቸው መምህራን እየተማራችሁ ጥያቄና መልስ የክፍል ስራዎች ፈተና መፈተን ክፍል ውስጥ እንዳላችሁት አይነት በኦንላይን ባላችሁበት ቦታ ከናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ
የናሽናል ኤርዌይስ እህት ኩባንያ
Okay, we are on section 165. After landing communication. Unless absolutely necessary, controllers should not give taxi instructions to pilots until the landing roll is completed. An aircraft lands. After landing, it rolls. Unless the rolling is completed, no controller, no air traffic controller will give taxi clearance. It's understood, of course. It's common sense. Unless otherwise advised, pilots should remain on the tower frequency until the runway is vacated. Naturally. An aircraft lands, rolls, and taxis to the terminal. Until it goes to the terminal and turns its engine off, should remain on the same frequency, should not change the frequency. Okay. After landing communication, example, fast air 345, take first right when vacated, contact ground 118.35. Take first right when vacated, contact ground 118.35. That is parking. After landing, as I told you, the aircraft rolls and goes to the parking area. Now it's talking about the parking area. Fast air 345, take first right. When vacated, contact ground 118.35. .35. Okay, let's forget fiber. Most people are not happy with this fiber. They are not happy. Anyway. Let's do it this way. Niner remains niner. 5 is not 5. F-I-F-E. It's not 5. It's 5. Victor Echo. 5. Okay. So forget fiber. Let's stick to 5. 118.35. First right, 118.35. Pilot is reading back. Georgetown, ground fast air 345, runway vacated. I have vacated the runway. I have finished everything within the runway. I have nothing to do. Okay, fast air 345, taxi to stand 27 via taxiway A. Stand 27 is where the aircraft go and park. That's what they call stand. Every stand has a number. Stand 27, stand 40, stand 200, stand 500 maybe, depending upon the number of aircraft there. የሚቆሙበት ማለት ነው። That's where aircraft park. when they board passengers and disembark passengers. Taxiway fastest 345. Pilot, taxiway A, fastest 345. Is acknowledging. This is very minor. Essential aerodrome information. Is information, it's defining. It's defining essential aerodrome information. This is definition. Essential aerodrome information is information regarding the movement area and its associated facilities, and which is necessary to ensure the safe operation of aircraft. Should be passed to aircraft whenever possible. Prior to start up or taxi and prior to the commencement of the final approach. That is the movement area. Essential aerodrome information is information regarding the movement area and its associated facilities, like stand or maybe radar or lights, green light, red light, yellow light, whatever facility associated therein, including the final approach, of course. Final approach, it shows there is a approach facility. All those things are included in the movement area. That's what it says. Essential aerodrome information includes the following: construction or maintenance work on or immediately adjacent to the movement area. If there is a construction, no. Essential aerodrome information includes the following. Okay. Number one, construction work or maintenance work immediately adjacent to the movement area. Where aircraft move, if there is construction, that is essential aerodrome information. The tower has to tell you there is a construction or maintenance work adjacent to the taxiway, adjacent to the apron. The tower has to tell you, not you, the aircraft. When I say you, I mean the aircraft. Rough or broken surface of the runway, taxiway, or an apron, whether marked or not. This is the tower's duty. Runway ተፈርፍሮ እንደሆነ, if there is a broken surface on the runway, if there is accumulated water on the runway, the tower has to tell the aircraft. Of course, it's natural. Snow, slush, or ice on the runway, on a runway, taxiway or an apron. Water on a runway, taxiway or an apron. The tower has to communicate this to the aircraft. It is compulsory. This is a NOTAM actually. Usually they put it in the NOTAM. In the NOTAM they will say there is a pile of snow or slush or ice around the runway, eastern side of the runway, or adjacent to the runway, or end of the runway, or something like that. There is a NOTAM always. Should not worry you. Essential aerodrome information again. Snow banks or drifts adjacent to a runway, taxiway, or an apron. Actually, snow we don't have. Our snow is very, very small. Then disappears, that's all. In Europe, you have piles of snow. 7-10 ሜትር ወደ ላይ ይወጣል። ትልቅ ነው በጣም። It's too big. Snow banks, that's why they call snow banks. Bank is where you put money, isn't it? So snow bank is where you put snow. All the same. Snow banks or drifts adjacent to a runway, taxiway, or an apron. So there are people employed to handle this snowbank. They clean the runway, they clean the apron, they clean everything. So they deal with the snowbank. It's a pile of snow. So this, the pilot, the controller tells to the pilot. That's what it means. Other temporary hazards, including parked aircraft and birds on the ground or in the air. This is what they call the temporary hazard. Parked aircraft. Maybe aircraft has already crashed about 2 years or 3 years ago, and it is there, parked forever. The tower has to tell the control tower, watch out, there are birds on the runway. The tower has to tell any outbound aircraft, any inbound aircraft, especially inbound aircraft, because doesn't have familiarization with the airport maybe. It's a new pilot. By the way, all this information is included in the nota and transmitted to all countries in the world. So the dispatcher of any country reads this information, has this information about Bole snow, about Bole bird. There is a nota distributed system-wide. Failure or irregular operation of part or all of the aerodrome lighting systems and any other pertinent information. If the lighting system is inoperative, the tower has to communicate it to the aircraft. Like any aerodrome lighting system, any runway, there is a lighting system in the runway, lighting system on the taxiway, lighting system in the apron, where arriving aircraft go and park. That's a lighting system. Any lighting system, when it goes out of service, the control tower has to communicate this immediately to the landing aircraft before it lands. Of course, they have the information. They have the information already before they take off from their country, point of departure. They have the information. But it is good to repeat the same thing to them. Maybe they didn't receive it. Essential aerodrome information, example. Okay, Nadir, can you read for us? This is example. Don't go fast. Huh?
Okay, teacher. Example, tower, fast air, 345, caution, construction, walk
You see,
adjacent.
caution, this is what I told you. Fast air 345, caution.
Yes.
That's how to transmit. That's how to say to the, okay.
Caution, construction, walk adjacent.
Caution, construction. No, you don't have to mix the most important thing with the other one. No, you read. Look how you read and how I read. Just
Okay.
listen.
Okay.
This is Nadir. Fast air 345, caution, construction work adjacent. Shato. Fast air 345, caution. Construction work adjacent to gate 37. There is a world of difference between your reading and mine.
Yeah.
Because yours doesn't have any message. It's very fast.
Yes.
Yeah. Again,
Tower, fast air, 345, caution,
caution,
Const-
caution. No, caution. Then
caution,
stop, pause.
okay,
Caution,
caution,
caution, pause.
okay.
Okay, then
Construction work adjacent to gate 37 or work in progress ahead north side of taxiway Alpha or center line taxiway lighting unsurfaceable
unserviceable.
or large flock of birds north of runway 27 or near central taxiway. Pilot fast air 345.
Yeah, he has understood. The pilot transmitted all the information he has, which the tower thought should have been transmitted to the tower, to the fast air 345. Fast air 345 has received and acknowledged fast air 345. Rosina, would you read for us again?
Okay, teacher. Tower, fast air 345, caution. Construction work adjacent to gate 37 or work in progress ahead north side of taxiway Alpha or center line taxiway lighting unsurfaceable or large flock of birds north of runway 27.
Or need central, okay. Pilot fast air 345.
Central taxiway.
Okay, it's all right. Okay, I have understood. But the way you read is very interesting. Yes, that is very important. Fast air 345, caution. Then pause. Construction work adjacent to gate 37. ትንሽ ሙዚቃ አይነት ታይፕን ብታደርገው is good. Music type, so that the person who listens to you will have the interest to listen to you. You see, the pilot should not hate you. He should love you because of your reading. It's very important. Okay. Next, VFR arrivals. The pilot of an arriving VFR flight may be required to establish contact with the approach. By the way, anybody, any question of the previous sector, the previous section? Anybody? Okay. The pilot of an arriving VFR flight may be required to establish contact with the approach control unit and request instructions before entering its area of jurisdiction. VFR flight usually remains to the control tower. The control tower is one unit, the approach is another unit. Now it says, the pilot of an arriving VFR flight may be required, may be requested to establish contact with the approach control unit and request instructions before entering its area of jurisdiction. If the case is so, the aircraft has to contact the approach control before entering its airspace. Approach area has its own controlling airspace, controlling zone. Before it enters that area of authority, the VFR flight has to contact the approach. It has a different frequency, by the way. If the tower is on 118.1, the approach is usually 119.7. 119 on a different frequency, so that when the tower transmits on its frequency, the approach should not hear. Otherwise, it's full of complications. Mercato Yonal. You understand? Yeah. They are on a different frequency. It's just like Awash radio, Hadu radio, Sugar radio. They are transmitting on different frequencies. They never transmit on the same frequency. Telecommunications does not give them the same frequency, by the way. It should be on different frequency. Where there is an artist broadcast, the pilot should acknowledge if it has been received. Artist, you know. What is artist, Nadir?
I think it is air traffic information.
No. Yes, Yared.
Automatic terminal information system.
Service. Okay. Okay. It's a service, not system. It's a service. Yours is better. It's automatic terminal information service. They give information now and then. The weather is like that. There is a CV to the east. There is a CV to the right. And all that. Terminal information service. Automatic terminal information service is giving information about the terminal now and then. Very important messages. If there are birds, it will tell. If there are training aircraft, many of them, it will tell you. Birds, yes. Snow, weather, everything. ATIS. Where no ATIS broadcast is provided, the approach control will pass the aerodrome data. How do you pronounce that word, DATA? Nadir?
DATA.
How do you pronounce it? It's just for my information.
I promise like data.
Data, okay. Yared?
Data.
Okay, Rosina?
Data.
Yared is perfect. Yared is correct. Data. It's like radar. Actually, 95% of our people say data. Even doctors, ministers, engineers, they say data. But the correct, I'm not telling I'm a better person, but I refer to Cambridge dictionary. That's all. You refer to it, it will tell you. It's data. Database. Nobody will say database. You'll hear very soon. When you go out of your house, anybody on the street will say database. It's database. Anyway, okay. It has nothing to do with our communication problem, our communication class, but it's just for your information. If you have something to tell me, like radar I told you, you also tell me. Learning will never finish. ትምህርት የጨረሰ ፈጣሪ ብቻ ነው። It's only Allah who finished learning. You keep on learning. It will never finish. What Yared knows, I don't know. What I know, Yared doesn't know. The vice versa is true. So feed, cross-feeding, cross-feed. Both of us will grow. Okay, thank you for listening. Out. Now, go to class. VFR arrivals, example. Yared, will you read for us?
Pilot. Steven Villa approach Golf Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta. Control. Golf Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta Steven Villa approach. Pilot.
Villa. Why do you say Steven Villa?
Okay. Pilot Golf Alpha Bravo Charlie
No,
Delta.
that's the name as I see it.
Stephen Villa.
Why La? There is no A there.
Vili.
Yes, that's
Stephen
better.
Vili.
It's better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Golf Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta C172 VFR from Walden to Stephen Vili 2,500 feet control zone. Bounder 52 Stephen Vili 02 information on B. Information B. Control Golf Charlie Delta cleared to Stephen Vili VFR QNH 1012 traffic southbound Cherokee.
Cherokee is okay. You know Cherokee, there is a car Cherokee, there is an aircraft Cherokee. Okay.
So I think it's a brand of
Yeah.
2,000 feet. Yeah. VFR estimating control zone boundary 53. Yeah. Cleared to Stephen Vili VFR QNH 1012 traffic in sight Golf Charlie Delta.
One of the, thank you very much. One of the requirements, it's not a requirement actually, it would be better for you when you read it beautifully. Flower, it should be flowery. When the British read anything, you see, it sounds like a music. Try to copy that. It's good. Pilot, 7-wheel approach, Golf Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta. Music. Controller, Golf Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta, 7-wheel approach. Pilot, Golf Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta, Charlie 172, VFR from Walden to 7-wheel, 2,500 feet, control zone boundary 52, 7-wheel 02, information Bravo. Controller, Golf Charlie Delta, clear to 7-wheel, VFR, Quebec November Hotel, 1012, traffic southbound Cherokee, 2,000 feet, VFR, estimating control zone boundary 53. 53. Pilot, clear to Stanville, VFR, Quebec November Hotel, 1012, traffic in sight, Golf Charlie Delta. ትንሽ የሙዚቃ ነገር ሰጠት ገባ ከተት ጎረድ ጎመድ አለ አይደለ ምን ነው ስትበሉ እንኳን መጥሚጣ ምናምን አለ አዋዜ እንደዚህ እንደሱ እኮ ማለት ነው ትንሽ ማማር አለበት አንዳንድ ሰው ሲበላ ሲዝረከረካ ላይም ሲያስቀየም የ500 ብር ስጋ ይዞ ሽንፍላ ያዘ ይመስላል እና እንደዛ አይነት መሆን የለበትም ስለዚህ የ5 ብር ስጋ ይዘህ እንዲያምር ማድረግ ነው It's not the amount that counts it's the beauty that counts so your transmission has a meaning to the pilot you are transmitting to it's very 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 vital by the way it's very vital so this as a whole as I see I don't have to go through it. This is the kind of request and it's a kind of clearance. That's all. Shall I go to this place? Yes, go. Shall I go to this place? Go. That is a communication between the pilot and the controller. But the dispatcher has to know. That's all. VFR arrivals continued. Controller, Golf Charlie Delta, report aerodrome in sight. Pilots, will go. Golf Charlie Delta. Tell me when you have the aerodrome in sight. When you see the aerodrome, tell me. That's what the controller said. The pilot said, will go. I will do. Yes, sir, I will do. Pilot, Golf Charlie Delta, aerodrome in sight. Okay. Controller, Golf Charlie Delta, contact tower 118.7. 118.7, Golf Charlie Delta. Back. Radar coverage. Now everybody knows the radar. I think so. I think so. Rosina, you know radar? Rosie? Maybe she has gone break. It's all right. Yared, you know radar?
Yes.
You know. You have seen at least in the film. Nadir, you
Yeah, I
know
seen
radar?
the film. Yeah.
Yes,
Huh?
teacher. Yes.
Huh? Everybody knows radar. If you don't know, go to a dictionary and see. The dictionary explains better than the instructor. The difference is the application of the radar. When you apply the radar, practical application, then the dictionary cannot tell you anything. Okay? Okay. I have my own definition from the dictionary. A radar. It is a system that uses radio waves to find the position and movement of an object. It is a system that uses radio waves to find the position and movement of objects. Example, planes, ships, when they cannot be seen. ማየት ሲያቅትህ ሊጠፉብህ ይችላሉ አንዳንዴ ወይዘር ምናምን then use your radar. It will find out. That is a facility. Vector is a course, of course. Vector. We'll see it very soon. Vector is a course. Vector this means take this course. Transponder. Rosie, welcome.
Yes, teacher.
Okay, it's all right. You know radar?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Okay, transponder is a type of radar, almost. It's all the same. So transponder is receives. Transponder is just an equipment in the aircraft. Receives radio signals and automatically sends out another signal in reply. That's all. So when we go into it, into a radar subject, you will understand better. Actually, I was looking for a manual to explain it to you properly, but I could not find one. Anyway, we have air traffic control, we have a flight plan class, we have air traffic management class, we can get it. If you cannot understand properly here, what we need here is the communication actually. So types of radar. There are two, primary radar and secondary radar. Those are the two types of radars. If you understand radar, This tells you the range, the height of the object it's looking for, whether it is a ship or a plane or anything, and the height, the elevation of the height of the object. Let's see what it exactly does. We are not actually concentrating the definition of the radar, actually. We are not worried. How the communication part works, that's what we are concentrating on. Radar, when we go to the airport, we'll see the air traffic controllers, the control tower, how they control the aircraft, what an aircraft looks like on the screen of the controller. We can see it there, descending, climbing, cruising, and all the like. We don't have that facility here. The facility we have here is the literature. What is read, what is written here, we read and communicate to you. Okay. Primary and secondary radar are either used alone or together. So you can use them together or alone. Presentation of radar information. The minimum radar derived information available for display to the controller is to include radar position indication, radar map information, and when available, information from secondary surveillance radar mode A, C, and this we don't know. Secondary surveillance radar, as I told you, is another radar, primary and secondary surveillance radar. But this mode A, C, and C and S are, that is a sophisticated part of the radar. We don't know yet. That we'll see when we go to the airport. Okay? When you start practical training, or the navigation instructor might show you when he starts teaching you, the navigation instructor. It's most likely he will show you that, because this is part of navigation equipment, radar. Identification of aircraft. Prior to providing radar services, the aircraft must be positively identified using either or PSR. Before the controller gives service to the aircraft with the radar, he has to positively identify it. He has to positively identify the aircraft using either secondary surveillance radar or primary surveillance radar. You cannot give a service to an aircraft unless you identify it on the radar. Do you give, Nadir?
Yeah, yes, teacher.
Do you give? What is yes?
Yeah, you can't give
You
information
can't
there.
give? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. You have to identify it. It's just like X-ray of a medical doctor. Unless he looks at the X-ray result, he cannot give you a medicine.
Yes.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Pilot will be informed when aircraft is identified. When the controller identifies the aircraft, the pilot will tell the aircraft, I have identified you. Will also be notified of radar contact if radar contact is lost or radar service is terminated. When the controller, when communication is lost between the controller and the aircraft on a radar, the controller has to tell the pilot on any frequency that I have lost, I could not get you on a radar. Say 1181 or 8956, any other communication frequency. Or if the controller has terminated the service, it has to tell the pilot, the flight. SSR identification procedures. What are the procedures? Okay. Who can read slowly? You read.
Yes, Mr. Aircraft may be identified by one or more of the following procedures. Recognition of the aircraft identification in radar level. Recognition of assigned discrete code, the setting of which has been verified in a radar level.
Verified.
Yes, verified. Direct recognition of the aircraft identification of a mode S. Equipped. Aircraft in the radar level by transfer of radar identification.
Okay. Who can explain one by one? Nadir, can you explain one and two?
Okay.
Romina, be ready for the third and fourth. Okay, let's hear first what Nadir says.
Okay. Secondary surveillance radar identification procedures. This is the way second radar works. It starts aircraft may be identified.
You are very fast, Nadir. You are very fast. I cannot read it.
Okay. Okay. So.
I cannot read you.
Okay. So how about now? Can you hear me well?
Yeah. If you speak slowly, you are loud and clear. The problem arises when you accelerate.
Okay, teacher.
When you give benzene, gas.
Okay. This is secondary surveillance radar. The way does it work? So it starts by aircraft may be identified by one or more of the following procedures. We can know the aircraft by the following procedures. First of all, recognition of the aircraft identification in a radar level. We have to know the aircraft number. Every aircraft it has its own recognition number, so that the radar will identify for us the type of the aircraft. Secondly, recognition of an assigned discrete code, the setting of which has been verified in a radar level. The second one is about it has discrete code, maybe like a squawk code, which helps us to know more information about the aircraft. The squawk code. I don't know how it works, but it stands for that kind of code, for a squawk code. First of all, we have to know the type of the aircraft. Secondly, we have to know the code of the aircraft that's using, like the squawk code. And that's information.
Okay. Yared,
That's
number
all I know.
one. Okay. I have heard. Okay. Yared, number one. Read first for yourself and explain to us slowly. Number one.
Yeah, it's identified
What
by.
is the whole idea? What's the whole idea? The whole idea is aircraft may be, read up. Aircraft may be identified by, up there.
Radar level. Yeah.
The title.
Radar level. The aircraft may be identified by
the
one.
title. What is the title?
Aircraft may be identified by one or more of the following procedures.
That is the whole idea.
Yeah.
Now detail.
aircraft identified by a lot of way, but this are the measure, like for example, the recognition of the aircraft identification in the radar level. It means the aircraft identification number, like it's a Boeing or it's Airbus or another identification to identify, and if it's registered in the radar label, we can see where that plane is going on, or where that plane is arrived, or where that plane is now at this time by this radar.
not that far. Recognition ማለት እውቅና መስጠት ነው። Recognition means we have received, we have understood, we have accepted. Acceptance. Recognition means acceptance of the aircraft identification in a radar level. ሬዳሩ ላይ ሌበል አለ ምልክት ነው አይደለም እንዴ? ምልክት አሁን አንድ ወይን ስትገዛ የጉደር ጠጅ ምናምን ይላል፣ የጉደር ወይን ይላል አይደለም እንዴ? that's labeling። ሌበል ማለት እኮ እሱ ነው። አሁን የቃላት ጦርነት ነው የያዛችሁት እናንተ። ቃላቶቹን አታውቋቸውም። that is the problem. You don't know the words. That is the problem. Okay. Aircraft may be identified by one or more of the following procedures. How does an air traffic controller identify the aircraft? One, recognition of the aircraft identification in a radar level. Number two, recognition of assigned discrete code, the setting of which has been verified in a radar level. The first one is the identification of the aircraft. The identification, the radar controller knows because of the flight plan already you gave him. You have given him ICAO flight plan that has been received by the controller. The moment he receives that flight plan, he knows aircraft identification because of the flight number. Ethiopian 345. The moment he knows, he sees the flight number, he knows the identification. Echo Tango Alpha Alpha Hotel. Example. So that is labeled there. ምልክት አለው ተሰጥቶታል። አይደንቲፋይድ አድርጎታል። ሁለተኛ recognition of assigned discrete code. Discrete code means separate code. It's a separate code for that aircraft only. Supposing 4455, something like that. They have given him 44. The moment he presses 4455, he can see Ethiopian 345. Very simple. The setting of which has been verified in a radar level. Direct recognition of the aircraft identification of AMRCU equipped aircraft in a radar level. We don't know mode S. If the aircraft is equipped with mode S, then it could be identified. That's what it says. They could transfer the radar identification. There are many radars there. They could transfer. That's how they identify it. It's very simple. When we go to Bole, when we start practical training, you'll see it there. It's very simple. It's just driving like driving a car. Most of you are driving cars, I understand. These days, modern youngsters usually drive cars. እኛ በ90 ዓመታችንም አልነዳም ነበር። እናንተ ገና በ16 ነዳላችሁ። ፈጣሪን ደግሞ አታመሰግኑ። በጣም የሚያሳዝን። Anyway, so everything is available. You can see everything. Practical. The only thing is you don't have interest in the subject. You should have interest in the subject. Put interest, otherwise you have another knowledge, add it together, you'll be the best. Alec. SSR identification procedures. Aircraft may be identified by one or more of the following procedures. How they identify the aircraft? They are telling us how they identify the aircraft. This is just a procedure, what the controller does. This is just for you to know. You are not doing it. Observance of compliance with an instruction to set specific code. The controller observes the pilot, gives him a number to set it in the aircraft. When that number is squawked or pressed or sent to the radar, he can see the aircraft. So observation of compliance. ማድረጉን መስማማቱን መከታተል. If there, just observe if that aircraft is following the instruction of the controller through radar. Observation of compliance with the instruction to squawk identification. Squawk means squawk ማለት ዲክሽነሪ ውስጥ ፓሮት ምንድን ነው የሚባለው? ፓሮት በአማርኛ
በቀቀን
በቀቀን አይ ዶንት ኖ በአማርኛ አንድ ቃላት ስትናገር እሷን መልሳ ትነግራለች። ፓሮት ሮዚና what is that? እንስሳ ነች እኮ
Yes, በቀቀን አማሪክ
ፓሮት ነች እና ታስተምራታለሽ ቋንቋ ትማራለች ወዲያውኑ የምትማረው አሪፍ ነች እሷ ነች ስኳክ የምታደርገው ስኳክ 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 እና አንዳንድ ሰው ሲናደድ ስኳክ ያደርጋል በኃይል ይጮሃል ልክ እንጥሉ ሲበጠስ ድረስ ያ ነው ስኳኪንግ ትልቅ ነገር አይደለም So observance of compliance with the instruction to squawk identification. Identification is ሰጥተዋል ይሄን አድርግ ይለዋል It's the same thing like the other one. Observance of compliance with an instruction to set a specific code. A specific code አስቀምጥ ነው የሚለው የኛው ግን አይደንቲፊኬሽን ሰጥቶታል ኦሬዲ ለምሳሌ 4455 ምናምን ያኛው የመጀመሪያው ከዚህ ጋር ይጋጫል አይ መጋጨት ሳይሆን አንድ የሆነ ኮድ አስቀምጥ ነው የሚለው በቃ ኮድ ዝም ብሎ observance of compliance with an instruction to set a specific code ይሄኛው ግን ያስቀመጥከውን ኮድ ስኳክ አድርግ ነው ፕሬስ አድርግልኝ ስለዚህ አንተም አንዱን ካያለው አይደንቲፋይ አደርጋለሁ ነው እስከዛ አይነ ስውር ነው ማለት ነው It's not a big issue don't worry radar vectoring procedures I am 100% sure navigation instructor has everything about radar He will explain you better than what I do. But the whole idea is, to transmit radio signals, receive radio signals, measure the time it takes, and identify the range. ይሄ ነው የሚያደርገው radar. ATC radar አለው, meteorologist radar አለው, weather observe ያደርጋል. Aircraft has a radar also. It will identify the CB, where the CB is, the distance of the CB from present position. Okay? So all these units, the air traffic controller, the meteorologist, the pilots, do have radars. ስለዚህ አሁን ሬዳር ምን እንደሆነ ማወቅ ነው የሚያስፈልገው። The best thing is to identify what radar is, to understand better what radar is, what transponder is, which the navigation instructor will explain later on when the class opens. He will explain you better. I'm dealing with communication only, how to communicate, so that your communication will be beautiful, so that Nadir will not be very, very fast when he reads. He will calm down. That's what I do. This is communication class. Okay. Radar vectoring is only done in a radar vectoring area within CAS. This CAS, I looked it in the dictionary, I could not find it. But the whole idea is radar vectoring is only done in a radar vectoring area within CAS. It's a combined antenna system. So the antenna is the deciding factor, by the way. The antenna decides the range of your transmission. So radar vectoring is only done in the radar vectoring area within the combined antenna system. Don't worry, what is it talking about? I don't also understand, but I understand the sentence. It does not matter. It does not matter. So if the radar has a combined radar, the combined antenna system, it has a better reception and transmission. That's what I know. And radar vectoring is done in this area, in the CAS. That's all. The controller should tell the pilot the purpose of the vector and, when possible, vector the aircraft along routes, tracks where the pilot can monitor position using nav aids. Okay. So when the controller orders an aircraft, there's something wrong here. Your internet is unreliable, it says. Do you hear me, by the way?
Yes, teacher.
Okay. I have an indication here on my screen.
Yeah.
The internet is unreliable. So the controller, the radar controller now, it's not normal controller, it's a radar controller, should tell the pilot the purpose of the vector and, when possible, vector the aircraft along routes, tracks where the pilot can monitor position. Okay. So now the aircraft is under radar control, is piloting. But when the controller wants to vector this aircraft out of the airway, it has to vector it. Vector means give it a track. Give it track. ሌላ መንገድ መስጠት ነው vector. You can see it in a dictionary. That's what I told you. Give track, vector. Vector 160 ማለት maintain track 160 እንደ ማለት ነው. But in a radar you say vector instead of track. That's all. So when the controller vectors an aircraft, it's advisable if it vectors it along the route where there are navigational aids, because it helps it. Beacon ያለበት, VOR ያለበት, vector ቢያደርገው is better than a desert where there are no navigational aids. That's what it says. The pilot should not correct for wind drift. Instead, the controller will amend the heading to take wind correction into account. The pilot is flying. There is a wind coming. It has an indication on the radar in the aircraft. It says only the radar controller will correct the wind. Because it can see it like a pilot. Just like the pilot, he can see the wind, the direction, and the speed of the speed of the wind. So it will correct and give it the correct heading to the aircraft. The aircraft should not correct the drift. Now the radar is above the pilot. That is the authority. Is that correct? Rosina, do you understand?
Yes, teacher. Yes.
Huh?
Yes, I understand.
Speak louder, please.
Yes, teacher. What about now?
Ah,
Yes.
okay. Nadir?
Yes, teacher, I understood.
Okay. Yared?
Yes, Mr. I get the point.
Okay. Even if you don't understand, it does not worry you. The navigation teacher will explain you in a better way. I have confidence. All navigation instruments are with him. Limit of vectoring. Unless coordination with the adjoining airspace has been made, aircraft should not be vectored close to the edge of the radar vectoring area. Okay. Meaning there are boundaries. There is one radar station, it has a boundary. Supposing Nadir has a radar, it has an area. Yared has a radar area. Say Nadir is area A, alpha. Yared area B. It means there is an aircraft flying from A, which is Nadir, to B, which is Yared. Unless there is a coordination between you two people, you will not let an aircraft in the air to transfer to Yared without coordination. You have to coordinate. That's what it means. This we do it without radar also. No coordination, no transfer of control. Clear, Nadir?
Yes, teacher.
Yeah. Controlled flights will only be vectored into uncontrolled airspace in the case of emergency in order to circumnavigate service weather or at the specific request of, okay. Controlled flights, that means which are provided with air traffic control service, that is controlled flight. Controlled flights will only be vectored into uncontrolled airspace in the case of emergency. If an aircraft already in controlled airspace has an emergency, engine fire, or fuel leakage, or anything, an emergency, and this aircraft is an exception. it can proceed to uncontrolled airspace because it's on emergency. It's excused. The most important sentence is controlled flights will only be vectored into uncontrolled airspace. Controlled flights will be vectored into uncontrolled airspace when the aircraft is in emergency in order to circumnavigate severe weather. If there is a cumulonimbus, if there is a CB in front of the aircraft, you cannot tell the aircraft to go straight into the CB. It has to circumnavigate. መዞር አለበት ዙሪያውን controlled airspace ለቆ uncontrolled airspace ውስጥ መግባት ይችላል to avoid weather. That is circumnavigation. To avoid weather. If there is a CB, the pilots usually fly 5 miles away from the CB. If it is within 5 miles, then you know the result. The result will be bitter. Red mark there. Danger. At the specific request of the pilot. So three situations. Uncontrolled flights, controlled flights will only be allowed to proceed to uncontrolled airspace during 3 situations. During emergency, during bad weather, to circumnavigate the area, or at the request of the pilot. Rosina, don't look at the screen. Don't look at the screen.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Now, there is a radar vectoring.
Okay.
A controlled flights will only be vectored into uncontrolled airspace during 3 situations.
Yes.
Can you guess slowly? Can you recall slowly?
The first one is in the case of emergency.
Very good.
The second one is when there is bad weather.
Okay.
And the third one is if the pilot requests.
Yeah. Beautiful. 100% correct. 100% correct. Honey, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yes. That is the only time. Perfect. Obstacle clearance. Obstacle means any obstacle. It could be a mountain, a hill, or a antenna, big antennas, or anything. Obstacle. When vectoring aircraft, ATC takes responsibility for obstacle clearance, though the pilot should monitor position closely. Okay. Until the aircraft is in a position to resume all navigation. Minimum vectoring altitudes should be high enough to avoid the activation of GPW. global position warning system, I think. Warning system. It's a height warning system anyway. Golf, wait a minute. It's okay. Anyway, it's an abbreviation, meaning let's go to the first one. When vectoring aircraft, it takes responsibility for obstacle clearance. Bracket, though the pilot should monitor position closely until the aircraft is in a position to resume all navigation. When a controller vectors an aircraft, the ATC, which is the controller, takes the responsibility for obstacle clearance. Supposing there is a mountain 20,000 feet, the radar controller should not advise to fly at 19,000 feet or 20,000 feet. It should fly at least 1,000 feet above that obstacle. Is that clear, Nadir?
Yes, teacher.
Yeah. In bracket, it says, though the pilot should monitor position closely. The pilot also knows there is a mountain at 20,000 feet. Even if the radar controller tells him to fly at 20,000 feet, the pilot will not fly. He knows there is a 20,000 feet mountain, right? Means going to the mountain and get crushed. So until the aircraft is in a position to resume all navigation, the air traffic controller should be very careful to give the minimum clearance. That route maybe requires 1,000 feet above the mountain, maybe 2,000 feet above the mountain, depending upon the nature of the terrain there. They write it on the chart. The radar vector should follow the chart also. Chart minimum should never be expected below the mountain. It should never be expected. What is that page? What page is that? Can you read? 180?
Yes, teacher. 180.
I have the same problem here. It's already eclipsed, you know. I was referring to my manual here, but it has the same thing. Global positioning warning system or something like that. Okay, minimum vectoring altitudes should be high enough to avoid the activation of Maybe it's
The page is not.
volcano.
Yeah, the page is not clear. There is, I think, a picture.
Yeah, I have a normal page here. Also here it's already. I could not identify it. The last word is incidents, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
And if
Or accident.
GP, okay, we'll tell you GPWS. I think GPWS, maybe it's a volcano or something like that. The whole idea is minimum vectoring altitudes should be high enough to avoid the activation of maybe volcano or sandstorm or dust storm or firing area, something like that. GPWS is just how I didn't see it, I don't know. I didn't see it. It's most probably global positioning warning system or something. Let's take it, it's a volcano. Let's take it. Just a rough idea. I'll refer to it and let you know tomorrow morning.
Okay.
EPWS. It's an activation area. Something is taking place, maybe firing or volcano, as I told you, dust storm. In the Sudan, Khartoum, if you know, sandstorm goes up to high, up to 30,000, 40 to 20, 27,000 feet. So to avoid that, the radar vectoring should be at least 3,000 feet above the top of that sandstorm. Maybe that's global positioning warning system, I think. It's just like that. I'll check and let you know tomorrow. No problem. GPWS. Radar vectoring, compass failure. With unreliable direction instruments, the radar controller will advise the pilot to make turns. Okay. If the pilot has compass failure, that means he doesn't know his direction. So the radar vector will tell him, maintain this. Will advise the pilot to make turn to the left, turn to the right. It will guide him. That's what it says. Radar vectoring. Okay, who will read for me? Oh, the usual Nadir, slowly.
Okay, teacher.
Yeah.
Radar factoring. If the controller becomes aware the light may penetrate an area of adverse weather, pilot will be advised. Pilot may request advice on how best to circumnavigate the adverse weather. When factoring an aircraft around adverse weather, the controller should determine that the aircraft can be returned to its route of flight within the area of radar coverage. If that will not be possible, the pilot will be informed. Note, weather returns may be suppressed on ATC radar. I think finished.
Better. You have improved, but
Fast, yeah?
yeah, it's better, but you will forget most of the time. I don't know. Because you are accustomed to it, that's nature. You cannot help it. But you can improve nature also to some extent.
Okay, Peter, I hope so.
With the help of God, you can.
Okay.
Okay. So, Yared, he's out, I think.
Not here, yeah.
Yeah, not here. Okay, I will explain. Okay, if the controller becomes aware the flight may penetrate an area of adverse weather, pilot will be advised. If the radar controller, that means the ATC, is well aware that the flight will face adverse weather, will penetrate through adverse weather, the pilot will be advised. The pilot actually knows because it also has a radar. But its radar may be out of service. You can never know. Maybe it's not as efficient as the ATC radar. So take the advice and do whatever you do and request the controller any kind of advice. Pilot may request advice on how, you see, pilot may request on how best to circumnavigate the adverse weather. How to avoid the weather? The pilot might request the air traffic controller, the radar controller. When vectoring an aircraft around adverse weather, the controller should determine that the aircraft can be returned to its route. Okay. The controller already advised the pilot to circumnavigate, to go around the weather. After completing this, the controller should be sure to bring this aircraft to the normal route. To the normal route of navigation. Supposing, to give you a very simple example, when you go Addis Asmara, that's a good example. If there is a weather, no. To go Addis Asmara, you have two reporting points, Dasi and Makale, I have told you. If there is weather around Dasi, and if the radar vector has taken you off the route because of circumnavigation of bad weather, the controller, after clearing the weather, has to bring the aircraft to the normal route so that the aircraft will fly now over Makale and then direct to Asmara. Is that clear, Rosina?
Yes, teacher, it's clear.
Yeah, it's responsible. If that will not be possible, the pilot will be informed. If the controller cannot do that, it will advise the pilot. Okay. Note, weather returns may be separate on ATC radar. Once everything is complete, the aircraft has already avoided and has already landed the radar. That picture could be erased. That's what it says. Suppress. What page is that? 182. So, whether returns may be suppressed on ATC radar. Once the activity is finished, the screen, that particular screen, could be put an end to activity. So the war is over. The aircrafts are safely landed. You don't need the picture now. That's what it says. General radar phraseology. Traffic information and avoidance action. Relative bearing of the conflicting traffic in terms of the 12 o'clock, the 12-hour clock. That is the pilot language. You are to 3 o'clock or you are 4 o'clock to my position. That's what they talk. That's not our problem. That is the pilot language between pilots. Position telling. You are to my right, you are 45 degrees to my left, you are 45 degrees to my right, or something like that. That's position telling. Traffic information and avoidance action. Distance from the conflicting traffic. Conflicting traffic. When the two traffic, when there are two aircraft which might collide, they are called conflicting traffic. So the distance from the conflicting traffic. One aircraft is going from Addis to Asmara. The other aircraft is going from Addis to the Redawa. But after taking off from Addis, until they take their own route, they might conflict. Direction of flight of the conflicting traffic, very simple. Level and type of aircraft, level 310 and type of aircraft 737, or if unknown, relative speed of the conflicting traffic, what speed it maintains, general radar phraseology. You tell the information to avoid the action. Ethiopian 345, this is radar control. You have one aircraft, position 3 o'clock to your position. Distance is about 50 nautical miles. Direction is north. Level is 310. Type is Boeing 787. Relative speed is 560. The information. That's all. That's the pilot language. That is the pilot direction telling diagram. You are 2 o'clock to my position, then you are to the right. 10 o'clock is to the left. 12 o'clock is right there. Well ahead, in front of you. Okay? So the navigation. Again, the navigation instructor will show you how. This is a very simple one. He will show you with something else in addition to this. General radar phraseology, vectors may be offered by the controller or requested by the pilot depending on the circumstance. Okay, vectoring means giving vector. Take this heading, take that heading, that's vectoring. That could be done either by air traffic controller or the pilot might request. That's what it says. The controller will inform the pilot when the conflict no longer exists. When the conflicting traffic is away, it's clear of everything. When the sky is clear, there is no traffic around. He has to communicate to the controller. I am clear of the conflicting traffic on any possible frequency. Okay. Who can read the last one? Yeah, read. think he's not there. Oh, he's not there. Okay, Rosie.
Okay.
You got it.
Avoidance.
The last one. The last one. Slowly.
Okay. Okay, I will try it. Avoidance action to be taken by the pilot is given when the controller considers that an immediate risk of collision will exist if action is not taken immediately. The avoidance action will have to be taken by the pilot when there is a risk of collision exists.
The sentence is not good anyway. Avoidance action to be taken
By the
by
pilot.
the pilot is given when controller considers that an imminent risk of collision will exist if action is not taken.
Yeah, maybe there is traffic jam, teacher.
No, even if the pilot knows that there is another aircraft and neglects, it does not matter. It does not worry me. But if the controller considers that an imminent risk of collision will exist if action is not taken immediately. So the controller will take action immediately, even though the pilot himself cannot take action. The sentence is not satisfying actually, but general radar phraseology, traffic information and avoidance action. Avoidance action to be taken by the pilot is given. Okay. So even though the pilot knows and neglects it or does not consider it, but if the controller considers that there is an imminent danger which should be avoided, the controller has to take action. That's what it is. Is that clear, Rosie?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes, teacher. Yes.
Okay, okay. Secondary surveillance radar, it is a background. The disadvantages of primary surveillance radar outlined above led to the employment of another aspect of wartime radar development. This involved the identification of the system which is telling about radar. You see, there are two types of radars as we discussed. Primary radar, secondary radar. Everything has a limitation. This primary radar has a certain limitation. So to overcome that, they have already developed what they call secondary surveillance radar. So supposing this primary surveillance radar identifies an object, but it does not identify whether that object is friend or foe. ጠላትም ይሁን ወዳጅ አይደንቲፋይ ማድረግ አይችልም፣ ግን መኖሩን ያውቃል። ጠላት ወይ ወዳጅ መሆኑን አይደንቲፋይ አያደርግም። ስለዚህ ሌላ ሬዳር አስፈልጋቸው። ኤስኤስአር ጠላትና ወዳጅ የሚለይ መራቀቃቸው እኮ ነው። ገብቶሻል ሮዚና?
Yes,
that is secondary surveillance radar. The system which became known in the civil use as secondary surveillance radar, SSR, or in the USA as air traffic control radar beacon system, relies on a piece of equipment aboard the aircraft known as a transponder. Okay. There is a primary radar, there is a secondary surveillance radar. Now we have come to know that there is a limitation on the primary surveillance radar. So scientists developed another radar which is called secondary surveillance radar or ATC radar beacon system. The name is the same. The same name. ATC beacon system and secondary surveillance radar is the same. No, this better equipment could identify enemy and foe, no, enemy and friend. It could identify. The primary radar does not identify. It will identify Nadir only, that he is a human being, Nadir. But does not identify whether Nadir is enemy or friend. So they developed another SSR. It will identify enemy, it will identify friend or enemy. And the range is better also. Maybe it has a beautiful color on the screen. So it has improved. That's what it's doing. And that improvement is called a transponder. That is a very small equipment, transponder. So it is attached to the second surveillance radar. What it does is it receives transponder. The transponder receives radio signals and automatically sends out another signal in reply. It's exactly part of the body of the second surveillance radar. It's part of second surveillance radar, the transponder. The transponder is a radio receiver and transmitter operating on the radar frequency, the same thing. It is an electronic device that produces a response when it receives a radio frequency interrogation. There is a request coming, it replies. The target aircraft transponder responds to the interrogation by the ground station by the transmitting a coded reply signal. There is a code, always in the radar there is a code. When you fill that code, it will give you the picture. Very simple. Transponder codes. 7700 is general emergency. 7600 is radio communication failure, RCF. 7500 is unlawful interference, hijacking. So if the pilot is hijacked, he will press 7500. The hijacker doesn't know. The hijacker doesn't know. The pilot presses 7500. So this pressing goes to the controller. The controller has it. The controller will advise the security of the country and they will do something. Maybe on arrival, they will kill all the hijackers. We don't know. But the indication, the communication facility is like that. If it presses 7600, it means it has communication failure, radio communication failure. If it presses 7700, then it has general emergency. Radar assistance to aircraft with radio communication. We could not finish it. Yeah?
Yes, teacher.
You can read it actually. You see the squawk there, fast air 345 squawk, observe it. The squawking means the parrot. Okay?
Okay. We will ask
Okay.
tomorrow.
Yes.
If
You can do it.
we don't understood, we will ask you, teacher, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, GP, what was that word, by the way? Yeah,
Yeah.
that I got it. GPWS. Now I remembered.
Okay.
Ground proximity warning system. Ground proximity warning system.
Okay. Wireless system. Okay. Okay.
That means, now let me explain to you. This sentence only. Minimum vectoring altitudes, page 180. Ground proximity, okay. The minimum vectoring altitude the controller gives to the pilot should be high enough, so that the GPWS, ground proximity warning system in the aircraft, will not cry. This equipment will cry when you are very close to the ground. Ground proximity warning, very close to the ground, very close to the ground, pop, 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 very close to the ground, avoid, hey, pull up, pull up, pull up, you are very close. It will say that. So it is to avoid this crying of the aircraft, the controller of the radar has to give the highest altitude above the obstacle. Otherwise, the one I gave you, Nadir,
Yes, teacher.
the mountain is 2,000 feet,
Yes.
okay? If the controller gives to the pilot 20,500 feet, it's only 500 feet difference.
Yes.
Now the GPS will start. Hey, very close to the mountain, very close to the mountain. Pop, 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 in the aircraft. Danger, 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 danger. Pull up, pull up, pull up. So to avoid this, the controller has to give the safest altitude. Ground proximity warning system. I got it now. Now I will have a good lunch, you know. MashaAllah. አልወድም አንድ ነገር ሲጠፋብኝ እናደዳለሁ። Okay. So we'll discuss tomorrow. We'll have revision, whatever it is. Then we'll discuss about Friday, Monday, Thursday activities tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay.
No. Okay.
I will come early, talk to my boss, and we'll let you know as soon as we start the class.
Okay, teacher.
Okay. Thank you very much indeed. 10 o'clock tomorrow.
Okay.
Good
teacher.
day.
Okay.
በትምህርት ከፍ ብሎ መብረር ይቻላል። ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ የናሽናል ኤርዌይስ እህት ኩባንያ ከከፍተኛ ትምህርት አግባብነትና ጥራት ኤጀንሲ ሙሉ ዕውቅናን ባገኘንባቸው በማስተርስ ዲግሪ ኤምቢኤ በስትራቴጂክ ማኔጅመንት፣ ኤምቢኤ በባንኪንግ እና ፋይናንስ፣ ኤምቢኤ በቢዝነስ ሊደርሺፕ፣ ኤምቢኤ በሪስክና ኢንሹራንስ፣ ኤምኤስሲ በኢንተርናሽናል ትሬድ እና ኢኮኖሚክስ ዘርፎች በእውቀት ለመቅረጽ የበቁ ፕሮፌሰሮቻችን አረንጓዴ መብራታቸውን አብርተዋል። በነገራችን ላይ በኬንያ ሀገር ከሚገኙ ስመጥር ዩኒቨርሲቲዎች በሚመጡ ፕሮፌሰሮች የትኩረት መስክ ትምህርቶቹ መሰጠታቸው ልዩ ያደርገናል። በምርጥ የትምህርት ስርዓት የተገነባው ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ በመጀመሪያ ዲግሪ በአቪዬሽን ማኔጅመንት፣ በሆቴል ማኔጅመንት፣ በአካውንቲንግ እና ፋይናንስ፣ በማርኬቲንግ ማኔጅመንት አስተማማኝ ትምህርት ይገቢውና ራስዎንና ሀገሮን ይለውጡ። አድራሻ 22 አደባባይ ወደ ሾላ በሚወስደው መንገድ ላይ ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ የናሽናል ኤርዌይስ እህት ኩባንያ ህልሞን እውን ያደርጋል።